Evening, Max. How's it going?
Well,
Good. What have you been doing this afternoon?
we've been rehearsing Beethoven Symphony No. 3, the Eroica, with Maxim Emelyanachev.
And it's all going well.
Extremely well.
Brilliant.
Extremely well. I mean, what else would I say? Would I say it's going badly? I wouldn't say that.
Save that for the review afterwards. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about your viola?
Oh, well, I'm actually borrowing a colleague's viola. Katie Heller from the OAE has this bohemian instrument that is mid-1750s. And I'm sort of trying it out for classical because I have 3 violas. Well, I have 2 violas. Actually, I have 2 violas. I don't have 3 violas. I would like to have 3 violas because in the OAE we do so many different pitches that it would be very nice to sit at just one pitch for each viola to have their own pitch. Because I take my viola, my Baroque viola, and I crank it up for classical, or I take my modern viola and I crank it down for classical. And it would be nice to have a classical instrument that just sits right in the middle. So that's why I'm trying Katie's viola, which she finds is a little large for her to play, but it has a really, really rich chocolatey sound. So it's nice. It's perfect for this repertoire.
Nice. What's your first musical memory?
My first musical memory. Oh gosh. I mean, it feels like music has constantly been there. I have a memory of, you know, when a tape or a film replaces a memory. I have a cassette tape of me singing Down by the Bay by Raffi, and my own voice, that's in my head as my own voice, singing that song and getting the words wrong.
What was the first piece of music you became obsessed by?
I don't really have an answer to that question because it's like, I think, I'm sort of all consuming of music. So I don't particularly get obsessed. I'm obsessed with whatever I'm listening to or playing with at the moment. So to think of the first piece, it's like, well, there was the first piece that I was obsessed by, there was immediately the second piece. So.
When you're working on a project, like say you're doing Beethoven 3, would you like go back and listen to lots of different recordings before the rehearsals start or something like that?
Depends on the piece. I think that mostly no. Mostly the problem with learning a piece of music really, really well is that the recording that you loved, you immediately hate after working on it. So I have all these recordings from when I was younger that I just loved. I listened to over and over and over again. And then I learned the piece and you come back to them and you go, well, that's rather disappointing. With this, I've recorded this piece with Top Music Baroque Orchestra. And I have very specific ideas about how I would like it to go. So no, I wouldn't. With a Beethoven symphony, I wouldn't listen to it in advance. Yeah.
Who is the most important music teacher that you've ever had? What did they teach you?
I'm largely self-taught. I really like to say that I didn't really have any teachers. I had a sort of string of like abusive elderly violin teachers who were horrible and taught me very little. And then I had a viola teacher, Stephen Dan, who was the first person to actually consider my opinion. As opposed to that kind of top-down, this is how you do it. Steve was my first viola teacher, played violin for a long time. And Steve sort of was interested in, he approached every student differently. So, and I think he still does. So it was like, oh, actually someone cares about what I think of the music. Or there's a possibility to discuss what I care about the music. And I thought, if this is what violists are like, I'm in, you know. So.
What's something you always do before going on stage?
Okay, well, I often think of, Mozart's G minor symphony starts with the violas. And it starts with the violas alone, and then the tune starts. And it's always a bit of a game because I'm always sitting there imagining what the conductor wants or the leader wants from that bit. And I always predict wrong, so no matter what I do, they do the opposite. But once on tour, OAE played it with Giovanni Antonini from Il Giardino Monaco. And his way of doing it was he always went, shaga, 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 shaga. This was his move. So sometimes I find myself like walking on stage going, shaga, 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 shaga. I was just thinking about that. I don't know. So I think I'm trying to get loose. I'm obsessed with how we walk on stage. Talk about obsession, because I think that the entrance. What's weird is that people will walk on stage, and they'll walk on stage like this to applause, and then get to their spot and stand and look at the audience, which I think is so weird. Like if you come out and you hear applause, it's like, oh hi, there's applause, Or so it's like I think we should immediately acknowledge the audience as we enter. And then if we're dribbling on stage, which, when we come on stage just casually, like before the music starts, I really like to walk slowly and chat with a friend. How you doing? What's happening? We're all happy to be here. Isn't this a nice place to maybe play a concert, and then sort of sit down? So often I'm thinking when I'm standing backstage about how we're going to enter, and the concert starts from the second you're in the lights, not after.
I feel like they're about to start a wind sectional. Shall we go in there?
Yes. Hello.
Do you come from a musical family?
I do. My father was an amateur opera singer. He was a law professor who took up opera singing kind of late in life. And his father, who I'm named after, was a Yiddish folk singer who had the first Jewish radio show in Canada. So there's that lineage. And then on my mother's side, my great-grandfather was apparently one of those people who can just pick up an instrument and play anything. So musical sort of grandparent, great-grandparents on both sides.
What's the most special reaction you've had from an audience or an audience member after a show?
Well, one time I was playing the Schubert quintets in New York City at the Barge Music, which is a floating concert hall in Brooklyn. It's a really small, intimate concert hall. And afterwards, it's it's a super romantic piece. I mean, it's like the most affecting, touching piece. And afterwards, several friends of mine came up to me and shared the fact that in the back row, there was a couple indulging in a sort of romantic situation. So I think I'm pleased to say that someone, achieved a musical climax during one of my concerts.
What's the hardest thing about being a professional musician?
I'll tell you what, being a professional musician, I would say basically is a complete nightmare. We're overworked and underpaid. We have to live really far from the city center where we work. We're commuting all the time. We have to be, where there's an expectation of perfection, we're incredibly hard on ourselves. We're constantly having to rationalize and justify what we do for a living. So I would say, and the travel and managing the diary, you never get to see your family, forget ever owning a home. It's basically a complete and total nightmare, which is 100% worth it because of how fantastic making music is for a living.
And is that the best thing about it? Do you want to expand on the best thing?
Yes, I think the best thing, I think that there's no other art form where every day, you get to connect with, a great masterpiece. Even, new pieces of music, old pieces of music, it has to exist in time. So there's it has to happen at 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 p.m., whatever the time is. It has to start at that time, and you experience these things together with an audience. And it's somehow the piece, the space, the audience, it all has to be there. And you have this transformative experience, 3-4 times a week. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I don't know. I would say emotionally and fulfilled and connected to other human beings as part of your job it's a gift. It's an incredible gift.
So what's a quote you live by?
Well, quote that I live by. I often think about Billie Jean King saying, "Pressure is a privilege," which I think that, you know, we as musicians, you deal with a lot of nerves and anxiety, and then you think, well, actually, a lot of people don't go through their life not having to experience that, the moment of now, do it now. So that's one that I try to. It's a technique for trying to relax and think I'm happy to be here.
Simultaneously relaxing and
exactly.
getting
Yes.
psyched up. Yeah, nice. Who's your favourite artist that's not a classical musician or composer?
Right, that's a tough question that I was thinking about a lot as you prepped me for this very casual, spontaneous conversation. I read and collected comic books when I was younger, and I think Jack Kirby is a really inspiring artist to me who, he basically created the entire Marvel universe. So he was incredibly prolific and came from a working class background in New York and fought in World War II. And just was continuously, ideas were just pouring out of him at all times. And I think he basically invented the format of a comic book, serial storytelling. And so I love Jack Kirby. I love Manet. I'm a huge Manet person. I just can't get enough of the color and sort of the very human way of looking at someone, and a really honest interaction with his subjects, and just incredible technique.
So you're quite visual, sounds like.
My mother is an artist and an art historian, so there was, she would be mad that I didn't say Caravaggio. She's like, "How can you not say Caravaggio is your favorite artist? What's wrong with you?" But I guess I am quite visual. Yeah, I like film and visual art.
Awesome. Inside or outside?
Inside or outside? Inside.
What's your favourite road trip destination?
Anywhere that ends up on a beach, I'm happy with. I remember years ago I was thinking I just need a certain amount of beach time every year, and then everything will be okay. And at the time, I think I added up, like, if I can get 30 days of beach time per year, that would be fantastic. Of course, that never happens any year, but it would be nice.
I could say ambitious. What's the last TV series you binge watched?
Right. So last couple things I watched, I really like Bad Sisters, which is Sharon Horrigan. It's on Apple TV. It's about this sort of group of 5 Irish sisters, and they conspire, spoiler alert, they conspire to murder one of their husbands. It's fantastic, dark sort of comedy. And there's an amazing, weird anime show from HBO, but it's on Netflix over here, called Scavenger's Reign, which is just, when sci-fi can kind of become kind of regular, like we're used to, like the sort of certain shaped bad guys, or like, and this series really has a visual imagination that is so surprising, and kind of deeply unsettling. Scavenger's Reign, highly recommend.
I think that's on my what's it called? Watch list. Yeah, definitely. What are your hobbies and interests beyond music?
I mean, I think the treat that I give myself is about savoring things that are available to you. So, because I think there's the focus of trying to do this profession, which is difficult and requires an enormous amount of dedication. So, to me, I'm all about when you have that day off or you have that moment to really savor whatever it is. So, I love eating, and I love going to art galleries, and I, like reading comic books, and I like playing with Lego. But whatever it is, it's like you have this precious moment, and you want to savor it. So, one of my favorite things right now is a knopper. Do you know what a knopper is? No. A knopper is the best chocolate wafer treat that I've ever had in my life, and I only learned about it like a year ago, and it seems like you can only get it in Aldi, and I think it's German, but it's like a square wafer, and just the chocolate to wafer ratio is so, the crunch is so perfect. And other people must be aware of it, because you go to Aldi and it's often sold out. Come in packs of 4. I can't. So to me, like, to be able to like sit and read a book or watch a film and eat a knopper and just really feel that crunch of that knopper, that's important to me.
I feel like that could be your podcast, where, like, Knopra with Max or something.
I have several ideas for podcasts. None of them are ever going to come to fruition, but if there's no time, but I've got ideas.
If you could meet anyone from the past, who would it be?
It's hard not to say Mozart, because I think I would. He's one of those people that you just think you would love so much, that he'd be so lovable and so annoying, and just so impossible, and just someone that you would want to hang out with and just be around. And he would be the whole thing. It would be to be in the presence of someone who is one of the greatest geniuses that ever lived, but also very much a man, So I think it would be just, I would love to see proof that I think he was just had this incredible gift, sort of trapped inside a very regular person, and that was the struggle. And I think hanging out with him would be cool.
Is there an album, a piece, or a playlist you've been listening to sort of non-stop recently?
Yes. I listen to a lot of, and I hope I'm saying this right. It's Waxahachie. She's a folk singer from America, and there's just something about, she really sort of like, gets me right in there. I listen to a lot of Sandy Denny. I'm listening to a lot of Joni Mitchell. I don't know, I guess it's like female folk singers seems to be the thing. I mean, I love Aretha. I'm obsessed with Aretha Franklin and Nina Simone. I sort of realized that I think I prefer the female voice in general, which is why I think there should be no countertenors. I think we should take all the countertenors and just get rid of them. I mean, the female voice is just nicer. Let's go.
Started a new society. Do you have a fitness or well-being regime that you follow, to keep you ready for peak performance as a viola player?
Yeah. So I mean, the best thing is swimming. I think I love swimming. I love going to sauna. I love going to the steam room. I've even started doing an ice plunge, which is something I swore I would never do, and I started doing that. But I mean, it's kind of hard to get access to a swimming pool at all times. So what I do is something really, really silly, which is that on the Nintendo Switch, there's this thing called Ring Fit, which is sort of a Pilates and yoga-based video game. And you kill little monsters as you're doing yoga poses or stretches and stuff. So I'll bring it with me on the road, and then you can get 15 minutes of that in the morning pretty easily, no matter what else is going on. So I rely on that. That's basically Ring Fit on the Nintendo Switch. If I can't swim, I would love to be able to swim. Whenever I can swim, I do it.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
I used to be a night person. I might be turning into a morning person, which is just so embarrassing. Humiliating. That's happening.
What do the neighbours think about the noise?
The neighbors are incredibly kind. My landlord is a viola player, so he used to live there. So moving in, I knew I could play the viola whenever I wanted to. So they're really nice.
What's your favourite post-concert drink?
Oh, well, it's a gin martini, dry with a twist and an olive.
Like a meal and a drink, at that time. And what's your best tip for surviving on tour?
Okay, my best tip for surviving on tour, don't drink alcohol if you're taking a plane. Okay, I used to be the kind of person that would get on the plane and in order to fall asleep, drink. It dehydrates you. It's terrible. If you cannot drink on travel days, you're going to be in so much better shape. Do go to the art gallery in town, and I think you should hang out with me because I'm a great Googler of restaurants. So if you're with me, you're on tour, you're going to eat well. That's my tip for surviving tour, is to hang out with me. You'll eat well.
So for breakfast, full English, continental, or other?
Oh my God. Well, breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I'm obsessed with eggs. I think I could eat eggs any meal, anytime, all day long. I like eggs in the French style, like, you know, the sort of slow, doing it slow on the hob. I like fried eggs. I like poached eggs. I like hard-boiled eggs. I like the, you know, Pret egg sandwich, egg and crust sandwich. When I came over to this country, I was like, this is the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. And I love cereal. And cereal is also one of my favorite foods, and I'll eat that at night. So, I don't know, breakfast all day, all the time.
So you're kind of like the Ron Swanson of yeah. Baroque or classical?
Classical.
This follows nicely from all the comic talk.
Okay.
What's your superhero ability?
Oh, well, I think that when you sort of actually think about most superhero powers, they would end up being nightmares. Like if you obviously you'd want to be able to fly, but like but flying without like invulnerability would be a problem. And then you think, oh well, super speed, but then, you know, everyone else would be slow, or immortality, but then that would be awful. So yeah, I don't know. I like Wolverine's healing factor. That seems like a cool thing because, you know, just the super fast healing, that'd be great. Then you could drink and smoke as much as you'd like to and be fine. That'd be good. All right, thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. So long.
See you tomorrow.